Okay. All right, well, good morning to everybody, and thank you for joining the World Innovation Series created by Latam Tech UK in partnership with Contexto. I am Cesar Miramontes, Head of Multimedia at Contexto.com, the world's top news site for entrepreneurship, technology, and venture capital in Latin America. It is my pleasure to introduce the moderators of this webinar, Sandra Cenico and Gustavo Sanchez-Reulet, co-founders of Latam Tech UK, a consultancy that provides soft landing services for scale-ups and companies in innovative sectors. Furthermore, we'd like to welcome Renata Sanuto, co-head of Cubo Itaú, a major tech entrepreneurship center in Latin America. This series of webinars has to act as a permanent monitor of innovative people, industries, and hubs from all around the world. Through this initiative, we will bring together over the course of the following weeks 12 key players of innovative hubs worldwide. They will exchange points of views and share experiences, which can provide new ideas and solutions for the future. It is now time to begin the conversation about what will happen to the innovative industries after COVID-19. To that end, I'll leave you in with Gustavo Sanchez-Reulet.
Thank you, Cesar. Today, we have representatives from 3 Latin American countries, Argentina, Brazil, and Chile. We will be addressing and showcasing how their countries face the pandemic, the challenges they encountered during the process of preserving local innovative industries, and what were the results of their actions. Here, we will talk about all the key players, civil society, governments, and enterprises. To start, I would like to introduce Juan Pedro Corica, former Director of Entrepreneurship of the Buenos Aires City Government, Sergio Montero, Director of Portfolio at Startup Chile, and Paulo César Albim, Secretary of Entrepreneurship and Innovation of the Brazilian Ministry of Science and Technology.
Well, we have so many questions for you all. For example, what can be learned through this experience of having to deal with the impacts of a pandemic? What is the expected future for the innovative industries after COVID-19? What have societies done to protect innovation during these trying times? And in what ways did they succeed? And what are the key lessons we can take from this? Before starting with our guests, I would like to ask anyone who's watching to send questions, if you have any, through our forms below the transmission in our webpage. The questions will be answered after the presentation of the panelists. So let's start with Argentina. Juan Pedro, please make your first remarks.
Good morning. How are you? It is a pleasure for me to join this panel with my colleagues, Paulo and Sergio. I would like to thank you, Sandra, Gustavo, Cesar, for inviting me to share the context of what happened with the innovative industries in Argentina. So if we can share the presentation, I would like to share briefly what were the reactions of the different sectors to cope with all the problems the pandemic generated. Next slide, please. So the first one that reacted were the entrepreneurs. After seeing those very impacted images from Madrid and from Milan, that we think they are like us. Everybody started showing different solutions to cope with those problems. So the first reaction was the creation, for example, of ventilators, different devices to can connect more than one people to a ventilator. There were also 3D printed masks to protect from the virus, and also to use in the health system to protect the doctors. There were also different solutions to detect the symptoms of the virus, like totems to measure the temperature. There were also different applications to contact tracing and to detect the symptoms of the people and to follow the people that have COVID after they leave the hospitals. There were also several applications like llamando al doctor, calling the doctor. That was a way to keep on providing medical services to the population that was in lockdown. And there was also an hyperbaric chamber offered to treat the disease. So these, among the few others, were the reaction from the entrepreneurs very right away after we saw all these very impacted images. So next slide, please. A second wave of reaction were from like 12 different groups creating applications to help small businesses to go online. One of the problems of the lockdown were that a lot of different small merchants and shops were not online yet, so they weren't able to sell the products. So that was a huge problem for a lot of people. So they created different online catalogs connected with the online payment processors so they can offer and sell their products. There was also a very interesting application that was a map layer connected with a chatbot in WhatsApp to buy from local merchants. All these were solutions created by very small teams and were offered for free, just to help the small businesses that weren't digitalized yet. And another very innovative and important solution that I wanted to mention is Seamos Uno, let's be one. That was that united different religious leaders from Catholic, Evangelic, and Jewish church, along with big companies and NGOs, to provide boxes of food to the families that needed the most. We have, unluckily, a lot of people that they didn't have formal jobs, so the pandemic hit them very badly to them. So this was a feature in the Wall Street Journal, and they already sent 600,000 boxes of food for the people, and they are aiming to send 1 million. Next slide, please. Another very important reaction came from the science-based innovation group, different biotech technologies and pharma groups that created in Argentina different kind of tests to detect the COVID. So we have, for example, NeoKit that use an RNA amplification method, Corona DX that is a PCR-based method, ELACAN test that uses nanotechnology. All those tests in less than 2 hours can offer you if you have COVID or not. Another very interesting and important startup is CRISPR Bio. They have been accelerated by a local biotech accelerator that is called Grid Exponential, and now they are working in the United States with IndieBio, and they are using CRISPR-Cas9 editing technology to detect the virus in less than 1 hour. So they are having a lot of advancement in that, and I think in 2 or 3 weeks they will have a solution. Another very interesting advance in this area is came from Immunova in combination with the big pharma group in Sud, and they are creating an hyperimmune equine serum for the treatment of the disease. They are now in phase 3, and this is a very important advancement that came from Argentina. Next slide, please. As the pandemic created a lot of problems for a lot of industries, it also accelerated a lot of companies that were working in the digital economy. So, for example, Mural, that is a platform for collaboration with distributed teams, grew 30% during this period. Ivo, that is an artificial intelligent chatbot to have customer cares, grew 34%. Digital wallets like Walla or Mercado Pago, for example, Walla doubled their team during these 4 months. Now they are 400, and they grew 38% of the users. Mercado Libre, in all the region, they have 5 million new users, and they are growing orders more than 50% in Argentina, almost 40% in Brazil, and 125% in Chile. E-commerce penetration in Latin America multiplied by 4. That is a huge advancement. It is also important to mention that EdTech technologies, technology for education, is also a very important group that is helping our kids and our young people to still being educated during these tough times. Next slide, please. Finally, to share with you some of the measures of the government at the national level and at the city level. Briefly, we have an incentive for corporate venture capitals to invest in entrepreneurs. We have a reactivation program for the knowledge economy to support startups with non-refundable money. 50 million Argentine pesos is like 150K US dollars. Also from the Ministry of Science and Technology, we have FONARSEC to support R&D and innovation. We also have open innovation seminars that was broadcast to the whole Argentina, and the Ministry of Production is pushing that to connect big companies with startups and SMEs. There was also a very broad package to support jobs for the small businesses that were most impacted by the COVID. At the city level, we created a mentoring COVID program that is like a shock room for entrepreneurs. Those entrepreneurs that were like paralyzed because of the pandemic can contact with a group of mentors that help them to move out from that and connect with the rest of the ecosystem. There's also an entrepreneurship consultancy help that is like an open line to help every entrepreneur that need some connections with investors, with new customers or wherever. And also tax relief at the national and at the local level. And at the local level is a big reactivation package that is work in progress and will be released very soon. Very quickly and very briefly, this is all what is happening in Argentina. Well, I will be happy to answer all the questions from the public in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Juan Pedro. And before I introduce Brazil, I would like to remind you all that you may send your comments and questions through our chat below the presentation. Now, I have the pleasure to announce Paulo Cesar. The microphone is yours.
Thanks for invitation. I'm a pleasure to a virtual meeting by COVID. It's the more virtual meeting, but it's very important to discussion this theme in the opportunity to solution. The situation in Brazil is similar of the other countries, but I have a problem. The size and numbers. Today, the numbers of today is 3 million persons is infected, but I have 95,000 died. Is a problem. It's a bigger problem for the population, for the economy. Is very difficult. But science and technology and innovation is a solution. The solution is a science. A unique solution by the COVID is the science. So the actions of the science and technology and innovation in Brazil began in January, when the signers is other countries, but they're beginning to integrate, meeting the persons, the researchers, and create a group, a committee by the specialists to define the strategies by the science and technology in Brazil. In this moment in January, they create the net virus by Brazil, a bigger net working in the research, have the tradition to investigate by Zika, dengue, others situations is very important, the science solution. The beginning define 15 strategies by developed solutions. Began the first, vaccine. I have other lines of investigation by researchers to investigate solutions by vaccine. Only in Brazil, but more in cooperation with other countries. The second position strategy is the reposition the drugs. Developing new drugs is very difficult. It's very longer to develop. So they find the alternative to reposition the other drugs. Have 20 alternatives of the drugs identified and is developed research at the moment. Other areas is tests. Tests to identify the COVID is very important. So develop alternatives to identify using new alternatives, bioinsumes, and artificial intelligence. It's very interesting solution by this. Other alternative to strategies use the developing new solutions by individual and collective security equipment. It's very important for the persons who work in the health, but other population. And ventilators. Ventilators is always effort for the other countries is very important for us. And develop new protocols to medical service to facilitate the operation in the other alternatives. Brazil is bigger, so the problem is develop new alternatives. Other situation important is the use other technologies. Artificial intelligence is used more, and nanotechnology by Argentina is this. Promotion, the cooperation is the important lesson by the pandemic. Cooperation by the persons, cooperation by organizations, cooperation by startups, but principle to use the triple L's, academic, government, and enterprise. It's very opportunity. It's very important to this moment to opportunity to demonstrate the importance of the science. Science is very important at the moment, and to develop the post-pandemic science, technology, innovation is important for the society. In this case, the cooperation inter-enterprise is very important to develop, for example, ventilators. One example is this, on álcool em gel, gel by bioinsumes, is a solution by the cooperation enterprise. Other opportunities to develop is very important. But for the pandemic at the moment, is very to continue to cooperation, continue to accelerate the digital transformation, to use more the digital technology is the opportunities for the for post-pandemic. And it's very important to optimize the research. In the Brazilian investment by the science, the investment $200 million by owning groups of the researchers, enterprises, and develop new solutions, principally by startups. Startups have a very more opportunity to develop a solution in this case, application, new products, new tests, new solution. One startup in a city of Santa Rita de Sapucaí developed new ventilators, only Brazilian technology. This is a big example to cooperation. Finally, I'd like to registrate the goal is bigger by the pandemic, but the intention of Toulouse is more. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Paulo, and for your. I will have a lot of questions to you also, but now we are going to finally let Sergio Monteiro from Chile to talk about the innovative industries and how are you dealing with the pandemic. Sergio, your first remarks, please.
Thank you very much, Sandra, for the presentation. And also, we think from Startup Chile that it's very important today to have this type of conversation, because it's always remember, in this space is always remember what is important in innovation, not only for facing the crisis, also for having better economies in our countries. If you can go to the next slide, just a little introduction of what it is Startup Chile. Next slide, please. I'm going to present again myself. My name is Sergio Montero. I'm the portfolio manager of Startup Chile. Startup Chile is a public policy of the government created in 2010, facing the main challenges that gave us the global crisis of 2008. Startup Chile have the main goal to impact the economy, supporting tech startup from not only Chilean startup, also startup from all over the globe to start their business here in Chile. If we can go to the next slide, please. Startup Chile is not a public policy. It's the first public accelerator in the world with one of the biggest and most diverse startup economy. Communities in the world. We have different types of programs in general. If you can go to the next slide. We support the startup in different programs, not only giving funds or money for them. We give to them the possibility to have an accelerator program, and we are responsible of make a right environment to start and grow their business in Chile from Chile to the world also. And if we can go to the next slide very quickly. This year we are in our 10th anniversary. We are launch different activities. So take a look to our social media. We constantly share activities and information to celebrate this party of this public policy. If we can go to the next slide. If we are talking about the COVID-19 in Chile, we have a lot of problems and also challenges to face. If you can go to the next slide. First of all, we have an economic crisis. In general, the countries have this type of problem when the small and middle business are going to bankrupt in the short term, and also this give us a lot of employment also. So we need to face this challenge, supporting them through different types of activities and possibilities. Also, this kind of business have different challenges, for example, related to the logistic. We need to reinforce and rethink again the logistic process in different stages. And also we have a problem with the isolation. We need to keep the productivity with this social distance. So we have a lot of challenge to keep the productivity and also to keep the activities of this enterprise in general. If we can go to the next slide. Also in Chile, Chile is recognized in general to have a great ecosystem to support tech startups. But today, the big companies needs to take a look of the possibility of innovation. Today, Chile is one of the countries with the worst maturity innovation index. So big companies need to takes the possibility of the innovation to create a more sophisticated solution and also to improve their services. If we can go to the next slide, please. So today, innovations is not only just for survive the crisis. If we can go to the next slide, please, is the main responsible to economic thrive in the future. Today, the innovation is going to be also the responsible to have. If we can go to the next slide, make a better business with a better competitiveness, also make strong business, and also make sophisticated solutions for the people in the future. If we can go to the next slide. So talking about the innovation strategy in Chile, we have different activities in the short, middle, and the large term. If we can go to the next slide. First of all, in the short terms, we need to focus in the economic recovery through digital transformation. Remember that digital transformation is going to help the small, middle, and also big corporates to 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 face the main challenge related, for example, to the logistic and make better services and product for the clients. And also the economic recovery, as I said, Paulo, before, needs collaboration between the academic institution, the government, and the private sector also. In the middle term, we need to change the mindset of the big corporate to see the innovation as a possibility to create new products, new services, and create also a more interested value proposition for the people. And in the large term, today we need to support those startups that are going to scale faster and that today create a new value proposition for the market, not locally, also for other countries in Latin America. If you can go to the next slide. Today, Startup Chile in this activity to support startups in a scale stage, we create the program Growth. That is a program to support scale-ups, startups that are ready to scale in the local market and also to other countries in Latin America. And we support this startup with this budget, but we only cover the 50% of the budget because we know that the corporate and the private sector needs to invest in this type of startup to the future. So if you want to apply, I invite you also to apply to this program. If you want to start, to grow your business from Chile to Latin America, you can apply to this program until the middle of August. If you want to more information, you can go to our website. If you can go to the next slide. If you can see this chart, you are going to see the sales in Chile by year of the portfolio of the Startup Chile. Today, all the startups that we support in 2014, for example, are scaling their sales constantly in Chile, and we know that supporting today the startups that can grow fast are going to make a big impact in the economy in the future. If you can go to the next slide. Also, this kind of startups and these startups that have innovative and disruptive feeder can create more jobs. Today, Startup Chile and the jobs that creates our startup in Chile and abroad is a big have an impact, a real impact in our society. So Finally, my main message is we need to think again, and we need to believe in the innovation as a vehicle, not only facing the crisis. We need to think the innovation as a possibility to make better economies for our countries in Latin America. This is going to be the main responsible, in my opinion, for making better economies in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sergio. And now I would like to ask Renata to pose the first question. Please, Renata.
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys. I'm Renata Zanotto, co-head of Cubo. There is a hub of connection there in Brazil. We also have a relationship with Startup Chile and also with Argentina. So it's a pleasure to be here with you guys. So my question is, the world is facing, as you guys mentioned, the many challenges this year due to the crisis. But these challenges also have created in Brazil an even more mature startup ecosystem and with many opportunities. So corporates is seeing the technology solution and cultural transformation that today and future key to the success. So they are challenging their status quo, they are doing their digital and cultural transformation. And also we have an increase of startups that are solving the new consumer behavior and needs. So the future expectation is promising because we have entrepreneurs and startups even more mature. We have new solutions. We have strengthened the relationship between startups and big companies because they are seeing the benefits of the relationship. And also we have startups investment funds. So my question for you guys is, what about Chile and Argentina? How do you see the ecosystem perspective for the next year, please? And how is the main challenge for the next year?
I don't know if you want to go Pedro first or.
Okay, I can go first. I think in our region and in general in the world, we are about to face a new era of regulation in technology. We also last week the presentation of the big technology companies in the Congress of the United States. This is something that is coming. We also this kind of regulation in every industry as the industry matures. So I think one of the big challenges we have in our region is to have good regulations that didn't stop these companies from developing this type of solutions like fintech, edtech, all this kind of biotech, all these kind of niche solutions need a good regulation to prosper. So for us, we have, I don't know, for example, in Argentina, we have so many laws. It's too much, all those laws we have. So if we don't have the proper environment, it will be very challenging and difficult for our countries to grow this kind of technology. We have great companies, we have great entrepreneurs. The things they are doing against the context is amazing, but we need to go along with them, helping them, and not putting a foot over them. I think that is the biggest challenge for us.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree with Juan Pedro. In our country, for example, there is a like for the corporate venture capital activities represent only the 4% of the region of the all the corporate venturing activities of the region. So we have a lot of work to do. Also, we need to visualize the opportunity of the to the corporates to knows the possibility that give the startup to their services today. They need to invest more. They need to take risk also, but to have better services. Also, in this context, when we have the lockdown, for example, and we have a lot of challenges that we need to face to keep the sales of big companies and something like that. Today, they need to invest more in new solution, and the startups can give that the possibility. So all the key players at the like the academic institution, the governments, and big corporate and the private sector in general needs to boost this type of activity.
Perfect. Paulo, feel free to,
It's possible
Sure.
to complement this
Please.
question. The Sergio commented by the innovative mindset. Innovative mindset is very important, the participation of startups. The new cycle post-pandemic is the new industrialization. Local development aspect is very important. The startups accelerate these opportunities. It's very important. It's a new opportunity for startups. It's very important to define new regulation, new forms of investment to accelerate the participation of startups. This is an opportunity for the government, for the society. It's a very opportunity to create new instruments for the new moment.
I
Thanks.
would like, Paulo, I would like to add this another questions that what do you think? Because there are some groups of individuals and political representatives that blame globalization for the spread of pandemics like COVID-19 and others that happened before it. But isn't it true that the global cooperation created by globalization has helped to preserve life in a larger scale than ever before? So what about not only the regulations, but the global cooperation? Do you think this is worth at this moment?
Yes, it's the science cooperation, international cooperation is an example to use in other areas. It's very important, the cooperation by the research. At the moment, all the world is very cooperation by researchers, the group of research. It's important. The opportunity to cooperation by enterprise, international cooperation enterprise, is an opportunity to initiate the action. Is very important. The Chile is having an example to cooperation by startups. Is opportunity to stimulate, to accelerate the enterprise cooperation. The beginning is opportunity.
And what do you think, Juan Pedro, about the globalization and international cooperation to also surpass this moment?
Yeah, I think international cooperation is absolutely key. We now can see very clearly with the global challenges how important it is. You can use globalization as a lot of different layers, as a good thing or as a bad thing. So it's on us how we use it. I think we are living in a moment we are lacking like political leadership to have a good cooperation at the country government level. We are seeing this. There were other moments that with big challenges that were over all the human race united the countries. Now we're having a lot of different positions, but this pandemic shows that we need to coordinate. If we coordinate better, we have better solutions. For example, what Paulo says, is key. Researchers, it's not important for them which is your country. What is important for them is what you are doing,
Yes.
what are your thoughts, what is your research, what you discover.
Yes.
So that is very important. Also at the startup level, the development of the digital economy was incredible because of a global cooperation. Internet created that possibility. So now, from the very small town in every country in Latin America, you can have a new entrepreneur benefiting from all this knowledge and created amazing solutions to everybody in the world. This is the first time in history that this happened. So I think we have the good side of globalization and the bad side of globalization at the same time. But we need it. It is, for me, it is unavoidable. Of course, it depends on us. We are humans, so we need to try to support the ones that wants to embrace the good side of globalization for the benefit of all. But we have to see how this develops.
Yeah,
Yes.
can I add something, Sandra? Because
Yes,
here in Brazil, yeah, because here in Brazil, now Brazil is a country with a huge market, so the startups can also scale here inside Brazil. And from 2019 until beginning of this year, we noticed many startups that have a solid market here in Brazil and are expanding for the other regions. So how was the scenario before the pandemic? I know there is important, the globalization and all the stuff, but what I'd like to know is how the scenario, considering the globalization, internationalization before pandemic and now from now on, because and how do you see the relationship of the startups in Latin America country to strengthen the presence in post-pandemic? So first of all, do you think there is important for us in Latin America to get straight in relationship and then go globally to the other regions, or do you think that we can do the globalization in many countries? What do you think about this perspective?
Paulo?
Go ahead, Paulo.
The digital technology is an opportunity to approximate the startups, the other countries. But in the case of the Latin American, have an opportunity because have the same problems. The unique problem in the pandemic is concentrate the cooperation. The characteristics of the problem of Latin America is opportunity to cooperate in the startups, the group of researchers, the government includes.
Juan, do you have something to add to this?
No, yes, I think in Latin America we share a lot of cultural aspects in common and also a lot of problems. So that is an advantage for us to expand in the region. Of course, at the same time, we have economies that are struggling or not developed at the rest of the economy. So, but I think there's not like a recipe that you can send to a startup and say, go first for Latin America and then go ahead. It depends on the solution. For example, Mural, the one that I mentioned before, they expanded at the beginning very heavily in the United States because the users more advanced for the product were there. But at the same time, you have Mercado Libre, and Mercado Libre is the leader in Latin America because they know how to move in this region, and they expanded in this region, and it's one of the biggest companies we have in the region of the new era. So I think there's no recipe, but I think it's a lot of unlocked opportunities still in the region to keep on having more cooperation between our startups, between our companies, and to prosper and grow as an economic region. We all the time look to Europe, we look to the United States, now we look to China, but I think it is important to have a big local base.
Yes, can you continue, Sergio?
Yes.
I have one question regarding this matter.
Yes, because I think that this topic and this question is very interesting to think about more to think new ways to collaborate each others in our region in Latin America. Today, it's hard, for example, to compare the Chilean economy or the innovative industry of Chile with, for example, United States or with Israel or China, for example. It's too hard. But today, the globalization gives us the opportunity today to create new types of alliance and also a new kind of traits to, for example, share and collaborate each other in Latin America. That is going to be the first step, for example, that in a few years, for example, Latin America can be compared with between are going to be compared, for example, with United States and with China. Today, we can develop a better innovative industry together, and with collaboration between countries, we can do it, in my opinion.
Yes.
Please have for the observation by this Juan and Sergio, have areas to a big opportunity to integrate the actions in Latin America. Biodiversity, bioeconomic, aspects by the sea. I have two sea, Atlantic and Pacific. Is opportunity to operate economic this. The economic recovery by Sergio explained is very opportunity to identify areas to integrate the cooperation. It's opportunity for us.
And one question, do you have, just adding before Juan speaks, do you think the matrix of the innovative industries in LATAM will change after COVID-19, like the matrix of rising up a connection, a stronger connection between LATAM countries? Could this matrix also change? And this is a question of Joe Mainwaring from the assistants of this webinar. Paulo.
I understand the metrics is a difficult because to compare difference for the same instruments. The aspects to measure the situation by the startups in Latin America is more different to compare the startups in other countries. It's very important to identify.
I'm talking about matrix, like the matrix. Yes, okay. Not the metrics.
The metrics.
Yeah. Sergio?
No, I think that we need to learn from other crises that had the world in other years. For today, this crisis is going to give us the question to our countries to how much is the economy and the matrix is diverse in every country. So we need to boost that diversity, and this crisis is going to give the possibilities, for example, to the academic research and also to the entrepreneurs to develop new technologies and also to develop new business for our countries, and also to diverse our matrix. Probably our matrix industry in Chile is going to be changed after this crisis. So we need to be prepared to boost these new technologies, and also to think more in diverse our economy. Today, for example, Chile have big industry. For example, the mining industry. If the mining industry are going down in this crisis, is probably the Chilean economy is going to be down very fast. So we need to think in a more diverse economy through different types of technology and trends that give this type of crisis give us this crisis, and the entrepreneurs can develop that technologies nowadays.
Gustavo,
yes, I have a comment related to this, innovative industries matrix in the region. Do you see, this is a question for the three of our speakers, do you see any rise of health tech companies since the beginning of COVID-19? Do you see, in terms of statistics, there are more of these kind of innovative companies rising up or popping up?
Yes, sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
In case of Brazil, to escalate the opportunity for health tech. Is opportunity to escalate.
Yes, in Argentina, biotech startups and companies has been growing in number and in diversity and in scale and innovation for the last 5 years. So this is a trend that is growing. We have a lot of researchers, so having a lot of very important researchers at the global level is like having a reservoir of a natural resource being unexploited yet. So there are a lot of accelerators that map that. So you have in each of these research, you have a future company, a future very impactful and big company. So this is an opportunity that's has been so by many in Argentina and is starting to be exploited. But let me just briefly comment on the future, on the previous question. I think for a region, what is very important, and the pandemic showed that the future is the knowledge economy, all right? And it's also the present, no? Knowledge is now the important thing that moves the economy, that moves the solution. So I hope we can take this broke of the inertia of the education system. We need to improve the education of our societies in all our countries to be prepared for this knowledge economy. The future is from them. So I hope this is an opportunity for our region to have better connections in terms of education, and the education we create the knowledge workers of the future. This all comes from that. So I hope all our countries in the region can take this as a priority and invest and take care of this new solution to create the companies, the startups, and the leaders of the future. I think the pandemic, one of the things that helped us was moving the education that was very conservative, that was very slow to move. So I think this is a huge opportunity for our future.
Thank you. There are many questions, and most of them talk about how the Latin American countries can build up a liaison in order to support regional scale-ups or startups to expand in a joint effort. Do you see there's there are conditions for this or no?
At the moment in Brazil is to adequate the conditions because the opportunities other one.
Yes. Okay. And Chile?
Yes. I think that there is the condition, for example, that I don't know, a startup from Chile can scale to other countries. There is still the opportunity, and I know that today there is a lot of effort, for example, to develop different soft landing programs in different countries for a scale and receive other startup in different countries in Latin America. For example, in Startup Chile, how we can support today a startup from other countries. We are not only focused in Chilean startups. Also, we can support other startup from other countries in this pandemic situation. So we need to build other process. We need to build other methods for makes the right accountability to those startups that are foreign for use this subsidy, this opportunity, and develop also their business in Chile and make impact to our economy. We need to also, the governments needs to rethink again their process for make this type of collaboration, and then they are going to they are going to open the possibility to receive new technologies and impact their economy through tech startup from all over the globe, not only for the local entrepreneurs.
Okay. Could we like imagine or measure in dollars the impact of the pandemic in the innovative industries in your countries?
It's a difficult question. I think that the reduced 4% of the recourse, the research.
More or less an average of
More or
40%.
less, 40.
And you, Juan Pedro?
Yes, I think it's we have like heterogeneous reaction in different sectors and different industries. So, for example, in the industry, the production industry in our country, there are 50% of capacity working. So the impact for them will be very important, very big. But the food producers in our country are working at top level because they were an essential industry, and they are working like the same and selling more. Digital industries are growing on average more than 30%. So they are like at top. All the forecasts show that the impact in Argentina, the annual impact on GDP will be a reduction of 12%. That is one of the biggest in the region. We came from stagflation of the last almost 10 years. So that will be a big problem for us. We have good news today because we agree with the private bonds holders of Argentina. So that will be good news for our country. But there's still to see how longer this impact will affect our economy.
Okay. Chile?
Yes. I don't know exactly how the pandemic impacted the innovative industry, but I know there is a lot of initiatives and activities to boost the innovation here in Chile in different ways. For example, today, Startup Chile created a program for support scale-ups and startups that can grow fast to other countries. For example, Walmart Chile are going to invest in other digital and new solutions for improve their services today and respond to these demands that generates the pandemic, for example. So I think that the pandemic is not just going to affect directly the innovative industry. The pandemic is going to be the innovation is going to be an opportunity to face the main challenges of the pandemic. So, but it's not only that. It's not only facing the pandemic situation. It's for thinking to the new economy that we are going to have after the COVID-19. So the efforts are the main effort from the government and the private sector need to focus on face the main challenges today and see the future after the COVID-19.
Okay, thank you. We're almost at the end of the webinar, but I would like to ask Renata if she has one more question, and also Gustavo.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Sandra. Actually, I'd like to listen from you guys if you have any advice to share with the startups that are seeing us and also big companies. It's a pleasure to listen from you too.
Sorry, I don't listen. Can you repeat the question again, please?
An advice to the startups and also big companies that are listening us to share with them.
A message?
Yeah.
Yes. The principal measure is to believe again in the innovation in this crisis. Not just believe for believe. It's just for improve their services to make more sophisticated product, to see the future also, to respond very to respond quickly to the challenge that give the pandemic also. Today they need to take risk, at least to take risk in this a little risk in this situation, and they need to, for example, take a look to other startups that develop a new solution for them, and invest for in this new solution for impact for impact their process and their activities. That is my main message today. We need to think in this we need to face this this pandemic, and also need to think about the future, think about the economy of our countries, and develop new technologies to diverse our economy.
Gustavo, do you have a last question?
No, I think we covered a lot of subjects, and the most I think the most rich part of our webinar is this one that we interact and we share some questions from the public. But I think the key, we mentioned some things during the conversation. The key thing is education at start. From kids and start educating them about a lot of being an entrepreneur, to innovate, to be creative in terms of businesses, solutions, and then from governments and from private sector that support innovative industries and companies, help them to grow or facilitate their expansion or their grow in terms of soft landing in other countries, or expanding, or providing them more financial tools to be able to grow and support in terms of maybe in some areas technical support for doing that. We have talent in the region. But we need to work, maybe work together in the region to support the talent that is there. So,
I would like to add also that stronger ecosystems maybe could help a lot in and act as a leapfrog in this situation. What do you think, Paulo?
I'd like to know less information. At the moment in Brazil, is have a good opportunity to develop the hard startup, develop the parts and components for the industry. It's very opportunity in the moment in Brazil because to local development.
Okay, thank you. Juan Pedro, do you have final remarks?
Yes, I would like to give like an advice. what we tell all the entrepreneurs in Argentina is to focus on a real problem. There are a lot of problems to solve. There are a lot of things to improve in the world. So everybody say to find your passion, all right? But maybe finding your passion is not so easy. So start focusing on a problem that calls your attention. Start by your attention. That is more easy. Use all the information that is available. In this pandemic, a lot of different companies open tools, platforms, education. So you have a lot of resources to use. So use those resources, focus on a real problem, and don't do it alone. Find some others with the same curiosity to solve that problem. Get together remotely in this time, but you can get together easily anyway, and start a startup. All right. Starting a company is not easy. It's difficult, but it's doable. The joy of the journey, that is the richest thing you can have. So go ahead and do it.
Thank you. So now we are arriving at the end of this webinar. And on behalf of Latin Tech UK and Contexto, I would like to thank you all for being here with us today. The questions that were not answered will be sent to our panelists and delivered back to you as soon as possible. Next week, on Tuesday, we're gonna have Mexico, Colombia, and Peru talking about the same subject, same matter. They will present their strategies to preserve the innovative industries and the key elements to succeed during these challenging times. See you next week on August 13 at 11 a.m. Brazilian time. See you. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hasta luego.